Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Department of Family and Support Services Neighborhood Cleanup, a Transitional Jobs Program for Returning Residents RFP webinar. Joining us today is Mark Sanders II, Deputy Commissioner, Trinity Dobby, Manager of Family and Support Programs, and Project Coordinator Juan Cruz with our Workforce Division, here to provide details and to answer any questions you may have regarding this RFP. Just a few housekeeping rules. Due to the volume of participants, everyone has been placed on mute. Please submit questions via the questions box and we will respond to questions at the midpoint and end of the presentation. Please make use of the question box to notify us of any technical issues. And please be advised that this webinar is being recorded. Anything stated at this webinar is not intended to change the solicitation document. Any changes will be in the form of an addendum issued by the Department of Family and Support Services. The purpose of this webinar is to provide information for the solicitation. A copy of the recording will be posted on the DFSS YouTube channel with a link to the recording, and a PDF of the PowerPoint slides will be posted to the DFSS webpage at www.chicago.gov under the Alerts and/or Funding Opportunities tab. Please give it up to 5 business days to upload. Please be advised that DFSS retains the right to share a list of registrants to this webinar, along with their contact and organizational information at our discretion. As for the agenda, we will now go through the purpose, the background, information about the scope and program description, the selection criteria, timeline, technical assistance for applicants in e-procurement, and then one last round for questions. And with that being said, I will turn it over to Workforce.
Right, thanks, Jillian. So the purpose of the RFP, the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services and the Department of Streets and Sanitation Neighborhood Cleanup Transitional Jobs Program Model prepares returning residents, and those are individuals are defined as people who have served jail time or prison terms above 30 days and are transitioning from incarceration, as well as system impacted residents. And we define those as individuals who have an arrest or conviction record that hinders their access to employment and economic empowerment. The program prepares people for entry-level positions with DFSS and other quality job opportunities. The goal of the purpose of the RFP as well is to identify the same respondent will provide career navigation that supports participants through the City of Chicago's application process and temporary subsidized jobs that stabilize participants with a source of income, and both of these components are central to the Neighborhood Cleanup Transitional Job Program model. The Neighborhood Cleanup Program combines elements of a transitional job with intensive career navigation support and job readiness training services. The program recruits, trains, and deploys returning residents as general laborers where they gain work experience and job training on work crews managed by the respondent, consistent with Department of Streets and Sanitation guidelines. While in the program, all participants will become knowledgeable about operating gas-powered weed whackers, mowers, handsaws, prunes, loppers, edgers, de-weeding devices, and picks. The program work involves non-service alley vegetation control, debris removal in non-service alleys and vacant lots, and commercial strip cleaning. The goal of the Transitional Jobs Program with Streets and Sanitation is to support and connect returning residents to career navigation, job training, and temporary subsidized jobs that will stabilize participants with a source of income, help them identify and overcome their barriers to employment, and prepare them for entry-level employment with DSS or another quality job opportunity. For this RFP, DFSS has partnered with the Department of Streets and Sanitation to identify a partner to manage the Neighborhood Cleanup Transitional Jobs Program. DSS offers temporary work assignments and valuable job skills to returning residents residing in the city of Chicago. DFSS seeks to partner with a community-based organization that has expertise creating pathways to quality job opportunities for returning residents, experience serving returning residents successfully with strong performance outcomes, and has currently funded workforce program options for returning residents in the city of Chicago. Current state and priorities for improvement. In 2024, 102 individuals received support through the Neighborhood Cleanup Transitional Jobs Program and worked approximately 20 hours per week at a pay rate of $16 per hour. Of those placed in jobs after the program, 100% received incomes at or above the city's minimum wage. The program seeks to improve upon these outcomes by tracking the number and percentage of participants who transition from the program into full-time unsubsidized employment with either DSS, Department of Streets and Sanitation, or another employer offering quality job opportunities. To achieve this goal, the respondent must ensure all participants have created careers accounts and support them with applying for open positions with the City of Chicago and other quality job opportunities. Target population. The DFSS Neighborhood Cleanup Transitional Jobs Program provides workforce services to returning residents. Eligible individuals must be returning residents, a Chicago resident, 18 years of age or older, and authorized to work in the United States. The program is open to system-impacted individuals with arrest and conviction records as well. Program requirements. The Neighborhood Cleanup Program combines elements of a transitional job with intensive career navigation support and job readiness training delivered in the context of a grounds and vacant property maintenance program. The core elements of the grounds and vacant property maintenance program and the transitional jobs training program are described below. Exterior grounds maintenance is a seasonal and work crews program where participants are deployed from March 1st through November 30th, approximately 35 weeks. Vacant lots are serviced and work assignments are provided daily by DSS, their Bureau of Street Operations. The respondent will be required to provide tools and transportation for work crews to each site. Respondent must demonstrate the capacity to recruit and enroll the required number of participants needed for both the morning from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and afternoon shifts from 12 noon to 4 p.m. 4 work crews of 10 participants are required per shift. That's 40 laborers. Participants may be assigned to work no more than 35 hours per week. Overtime pay will not be covered by this program's funding. Respondent will manage the participant payroll for this program. Participant hourly wages must align with the City of Chicago's minimum wage ordinance. At minimum, that must be $16 per hour per the minimum. My apologies. At the minimum, they can subsidize the wages are $15 per hour. Equipment requirements. Respondent must verify that they have the tools and equipment required for each work crew. For example, gas-powered weed whackers, brooms, rakes, shovels, bags, mowers, hand saws, pruners, loppers, edgers, de-weeding devices, picks, etc. Skill requirements. Respondent must demonstrate knowledge of worker safety skills that are compliant with current OSHA standards. Crew personnel shall be directly supervised by the respondent. Program requirements. DFSS seeks respondents with evidence of strong past performance against desired outcome goals. Performance indicators include transitional job program requirements. The respondent must be able to demonstrate within their application the ability to execute the following services for participants in the program: career navigation services, outreach and recruitment, comprehensive program orientation, intake screening, and assessment for case planning, permanent employment placement services, follow-up and retention services, participant feedback tools, formalized employer partnerships and expectations, service coordination. Performance goals and outcomes. To track progress toward achieving the outcome goals of these programs and assess success, DFSS will monitor a set of annual outcome metrics that may include, but are not limited to, the number of participants placed in unsubsidized employment. This also means your ability to meet the requirements for the work crews established by the Department of Streets and Sanitation, the number of participants advancing toward the number of participants that are hired at the Department of Streets and Sanitation, the number of participants advancing toward employment and career goals. To monitor and recognize intermediate progress toward the above performance indicators, DFSS also intends to track annual output metrics that may include, but are not limited to, the number and percentage of participants who complete an individualized employment plan, number and percentage of participants receiving monthly career navigation and case management support, number and percentage of participants creating a careers account and applying for open positions within the city of Chicago, weekly work crew attendance. DFSS will evaluate applications based on the following criteria. Community involvement. The respondent demonstrates a deep and nuanced understanding of the target population, returning residents in this case, including their strengths and assets and needs and challenges. The respondent is equipped to meet the specific needs of the target population and has capabilities and/or infrastructure to better serve the intended target population. The respondent demonstrates a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and access in their internal operations. Respondent's leadership reflects and/or directly engages the diverse people of the communities it serves. The respondent demonstrates effective outreach to returning residents and system-impacted individuals with regular events and successful engagement strategies, highlighting outcomes and impact. Organizational capacity. The respondent identifies adequate essential personnel to devote to the work, describes appropriate staffing patterns and their qualifications in the context of clients to be served, including program staff, program oversight, and management, and has a compelling strategy to fill vacancies in a timely manner. The respondent has adequate systems and processes to support monitoring program expenditures and fiscal controls. The respondent has secure data collection and management practices, along with adequate processes for quality assurance and timely data entry. The respondent demonstrates sufficient organizational capacity, detailing essential staffing, fiscal monitoring, data management, and participant payment processes. This includes qualified personnel for program delivery, robust fiscal controls, secure data practices, and clear procedures for timely participant payments. Strength of the proposed program. The respondent clearly defines services to be provided directly or through partnerships, linkage agreements with other agencies that are appropriate to addressing the needs of and achieving desired outcomes for enrolled participants. The respondent's proposed program is supported by a strong national or local evidence base and/or aligns with best practices for the relevant field. The respondent has an effective and intentional approach to identifying, recruiting, and retaining program participants. The respondent has partnerships or coordinates with other agencies to expand or improve services in a client-centered, comprehensive way. Performance management and outcomes. The respondent provides evidence of strong past performance against desired outcome goals and performance metrics and/or other notable accomplishments in providing services to the target population. The respondent has experience using data to identify problems in service delivery and improve its service or practices. The respondent has experience disaggregating data to identify and address racial, gendered, abled, or other disparities in program delivery. Reasonable costs, budget, justification, and leverage of funds. The respondent has the fiscal capacity to implement the proposed program prior to reimbursement. The respondent leverages other funds and in-kind contributions to support total program and administrative costs. For example, state, federal, foundation, corporate, or individual donations. The respondent demonstrates reasonable implementation costs and funding requests given the nature of the proposed program. The proposed budget supports the scope of work or work plan. Attachments. Be sure to attach reports, studies, or other documentation that show performance toward reaching the program goals, demonstrates results and accomplishments. Be sure to attach the resumes for key staff that are overseeing the program. Be sure to attach your organization's budget for this program. And make sure all program requirements are addressed. Our evaluation process. Each respondent will be evaluated on the strengths of the proposal and the responsiveness to the selection criteria. Failure to submit a complete proposal or respond fully to all requirements may make your submission subject to rejection. The commissioner, upon review of recommended agencies, may reject, deny, or recommend agencies that have applied for grants based on previous performance and/or area need. DFSS reserves the right to ensure that all mandated services are available citywide and provided in a linguistically and culturally appropriate manner. Selection and transition timeline. Today is our pre-proposal webinar. The due date to submit any questions that you have regarding the proposal is January 29. All applications are due February 13, and the program period will begin on March 1st. Budget or cost proposals. Your contract term will start from March 1st through December 31st, 2026. DFSS anticipates awarding one contract with an estimated award of up to $1,964,000 per year, depending on funding availability. Administrative costs will be capped at 15% per application. Please submit a budget for 1 year, 12 months of services, and for 2025, those 12 months are compressed from March 1 through December 31. Cost category definitions are attached as budget instructions in every RFP, except RFPs that have cost proposals. Be thoughtful and inclusive when developing your budget. Apply for your program's actual costs. We generally cannot give you more money than what you ask. Use the reasonable cost question on the application to discuss how you determine the cost reflected in your budget. Common errors. Common mistakes we see on budgets are fringes. So please check your calculations. Supplies. These are frequently under or over budgeted for. Client assistance. If this is an appropriate and allowable cost, do not forget to include it. Make sure your job description titles and your job description uploads have the same title. Also, put a brief description of the job in the budget document if you have not discussed it specifically in your application. Put your budget in the appropriate column and show your match. Pass it. Applications are due on February 13 at 12 p.m. and I will pass it back to Jillian.
Thank you, Mark. Just a few application tips. We can't stress this enough to start your application as early as possible and save it as often as possible. If you have never done business with the City of Chicago, please register into iSupplier ASAP. Please review the RFP narratives and application questions closely, and remember they align with the scope and selection criteria. Use the information in the RFP for guidance in formulating your answers. There's a 4,000 character limit, which includes punctuation and spaces. Each response is allotted 4,000 characters. And please do not use the back button on your browser. It could potentially cause you to lose your work. And once again, start your application as early as possible and save it as often as possible. Some tips for working in e-procurement. To submit multiple applications for a single RFP, applicants will need to set up a unique user account in iSupplier. The e-procurement system is not capable of submitting more than one distinct proposal per associated email address. Therefore, you must use a separate email address for each submission. You can submit your application and later amend it up until the due date, which is February 13th at 12 noon. You can avoid the rush and possible mishaps by submitting your application early. Plan on your submission taking approximately 30 to 60 minutes. Please note that late applications cannot and will not be accepted. For assistance, please make use of the e-procurement hotline for help at 312-744-4357. This hotline operates during business hours only, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Again, save your application as often as possible and submit early if you can. Just a few agency requirements. We require agencies to provide articles of incorporation and any amended articles of incorporation. We require agencies to submit an IRS affirmation letter. This is for not-for-profit agencies only. This letter must be dated within 60 days of submission. You can obtain this letter by calling the IRS directly at 1-877-829-5500. However, if you are a for-profit agency, please submit your original letter from the IRS showing your FEIN number. We require agencies to also submit their UEI number, as well as a central contractor registration. A copy can be, you could grab a copy from the entity overview page on the sam.gov website. And then lastly, a certificate of good standing letter with the state of Illinois is required. As of April of 2024, we have a new labor peace agreement ordinance, which applies to all DFSS and CDPH delegates that have 20 or more employees working for their organization. The only exemption is it does not apply to hospitals. Contractor must provide a written notice to the commissioner or her designee within 72 hours of becoming aware that employees want to organize or that a union seeks to represent employees. Contractor must enter into an LPA within 90 days of receiving notice from a labor organization that seeks to represent employees. What is an LPA? An LPA is an agreement between an employer and a labor union that ensures that organizing drive is not impacted by union busting techniques, including employee retaliation, and in return, they will not strike or stop work in a way that will impact human services. As far as technical assistance, on the DFSS webpage, there will be a link to the RFP and training of interest in training documents under the alerts section on the website. For questions on registration and e-procurement technical assistance for delegate agencies, please contact customer support at cityofchicago.org, and they also can be reached at 312-744-4357. And we also have training materials, which includes documents and videos on the cityofchicago.org website under online training materials. Entering your responses and accepting amendments. Step 1, select Create Quote from the drop-down menu in the Actions box and then click on Go. This will take you to the application page where you can get started. If the RFP you are interested in has been amended, you will need to acknowledge and accept the amendment to start or submit your response. To accept the amendment, click on View Amendment History, circled here. Step 2, to begin the acceptance and acknowledgement process, follow these steps after clicking View Amendment History. First, you click on the document number. Next, click on the affinity or eyeglass icon to view the amended changes to the RFP. And then you click on the Acknowledge Amendments button to acknowledge receipt and understanding of these changes, and then proceed. And by acknowledging the amendment, you are indicating that you are aware of the changes made to the RFP in the amendment. When you get to the screen, click on the I accept checkbox and then click on Acknowledge. Next, click on Yes to indicate that you confirm the acknowledgement in your acknowledgement of the amendment. Next, you click on the checkbox that you accept the terms and conditions, and then click Accept to actually accept them. And that is the final step in acknowledging and accepting the amendment. Once you accept the amendment, you can proceed with submitting your application, which we'll go through now. When you have entered all of your responses, answered all your questions, attached all the required documents, and you're finally ready to submit, you start by saving your draft one last time and then clicking Continue. If you are missing information, our supplier will provide an error message, and it will usually be at the top of the page. Usually the error message directs to something left undone in the application. In the last example, the error message indicated that the lines found under the Lines tab had not been filled out. In this example, the error is about an unanswered question in the application or the requirement section. The quote values refers to your, in this case, missing answer. Once you have updated your application and is free from errors, you are ready to proceed and submit. At this point, clicking Continue should put your application into the review and submit phase. And then once you get to this page, this is like a summary page, and this is also your last chance to review all of your data and confirm that it's accurate. Please check your attachments, make sure you attach everything, and scroll to the bottom of the screen to see all of your responses and to review all of your responses. And at the bottom of the screen, you will be asked to provide an electronic signature. Please be sure to fill in the signature before checking that box. And then lastly, you can click Submit at the bottom of the page. Once you have successfully submitted your application, you will receive an email from iSupplier. It says, it's like a confirmation email. And you should receive it within 24 hours of your submission. You can please call and email me if you desire confirmation prior to then, but you should receive it right away. At this time, we're going to pause for questions. And if you don't have questions now, you still have time. Our question deadline is January 29th, and the bid closes at February 13th. So if you don't have any questions at this time, you still have a couple of days to submit your questions. Please submit questions via the question box. I see someone has their hand raised. We have a question. It says, how many participants in total is the respondent expected to serve during the grant period?
The respondent needs to be prepared to cover the staffing requirements established for the work crews. So that could be as few as 40 if you are able to maintain a consistent number of individuals all year, or as many as required. So you just need to be prepared to cover those shifts according to the requirements of the RFP.
Again, if you don't have any questions at this time, you still have time up until January 29th to submit any questions. And those questions can be sent to Juan Cruz. They can be contacted at juan.cruz@cityofchicago.org. We have another question. If I have worked for the city in the past, do I need to have those documents as well?
Can you provide more context for your question?
We have another question. It says the RFP mentioned 112 individuals need to be supported and confirm they created a careers account. Can you confirm that this is correct?
So we need to, each individual needs to confirm that they are, so the information in the RFP is accurate. And the individuals that need to be supported will need to create a careers account with the city of Chicago, or whatever the current format is for the city of Chicago to apply for a position with Streets and Sands or another department with the city of Chicago.
Again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to Juan Cruz at juan.cruz@cityofchicago.org. If you have questions regarding the program, and if you have questions regarding tech support, regarding iSupplier, please reach out to the e-procurement hotline. Again, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Their number is 312-744-4357. And they can also be reached via email at customersupport@cityofchicago.org. And you can also reach out to me. I'm Jillian Black. My email is jillian.black@cityofchicago.org. And with that being said, does Workforce have anything to add before we close out?
Well, thank you for your interest in the RFP, and we look forward to reviewing your responses.
Thank you everyone for attending our webinar for neighborhood cleanup, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.